Welcome back to FTP Speed Shop PodCast, a podcast where we talk about what you talk about in the garage, because, hey, we're in the garage. I'm your host, Mike Early, and tonight with me, I got Kevin Webel. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you, Mike?
Good. It's been a long, interesting day today, so we'll see how this goes. Let's take care of a quick bit of business here. Tonight's show is sponsored by FTPSpeedShop.com. Go there and pick yourself up some merch and help support the channel and help us get some more equipment and put on better shows for you guys. I want to thank everybody who's supported us throughout the years, and let's get into it. So, Kevin, what do you? First of all, what are we drinking here? What do you got here?
Well, tonight I actually mixed us up my version of an old fashioned, which I like to use what's called blood orange bitters. About a half a shot of that. I'll do a half a shot of simple syrup, and then I prefer a rye whiskey in mine. Tonight we're using the Bullet Rye, which is one of my favorites. It's a go-to for me. Another good one for me is Old Forester 100. Those are middle shelf bourbons that they're 100 proof and they just have the bite, but when you add the syrup and the bitters,
nice finish on it.
Yeah, and then of course I've got the way I smoke my drinks with the oak wood, just a plank of wood, some holes drilled in it, and a torch. Set it on top of the glass and just burn the top of the wood, and that smoke just drops down into the glass. You can fill it full and just let it sit and soak for a while, and it just adds another element to it. And
I gotta say, they're definitely better than some of them I've had for sure.
Yeah, they are pretty smooth and very sneaky.
Yeah, that's why I probably shouldn't drink them, because I'll end up underneath the podcast table before too long.
Yeah,
so.
It's definitely easy to do.
Yeah. So what are you working on in the garage, or what do you got going on?
I've still got, I got my 54 Bel Air 4-door, big block car, 454 that I've had on the road for a few years now. I probably had the thing over 15 years.
Yeah.
I bought a 4-door, this thing back when my kids were little, thinking, I'll get it running, family cruiser, straight six, original 235. Of course, life gets busy.
Oh, believe me, I know.
Kids go to school, you got dance and everything else. And the project, it basically sat forever in my garage.
Yeah.
I grew up around cars, and this one I swore I would never sell it. So luckily, I never did.
Yeah, that's good. I know a lot of people always have the one that got away or wish they wouldn't have sold it,
Yeah.
But life, like I said, life gets busy. You got to sell something. I had to sell the Prelude to get a truck and all that stuff. I mean, I still have the Chevelle. I didn't sell that, but...
Which was your high school car, right?
Pretty close, yeah. I mean, I drove it for about a year in high school. So, yeah, went from 93 Cavalier to 69 Chevelle.
Well,
so
that's perfect.
Pretty good upgrade.
That's what I had in high school, was a 69 Chevelle, big block 4-speed car.
I seen a picture of that the other day on the Facebook page, Speedways, I think.
Yep.
And it looked like it was doing a pretty monster wheelie.
Yeah, that was stage 2 of that car.
Yeah.
It started out life, my dad and I bought that back when he had his gas station in Havelock. We basically did a frame-on restoration on that car. It was originally butternut yellow was the paint coat on it. That was a little too lame for me, so we went Daytona yellow on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice bright yellow. The butternut yellow, my uncle had a 70, it was an LS5, and it was like kind of that butternut, and it just doesn't have the pop to it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
There's no depth to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool color, but it's not the muscle car color.
It's not the car you want to be cruising and trying to pick up chicks in high school.
Yeah, exactly. So that car turned into just basically a show car that we cruised around with. We had a 70 Chevelle SS as well at the time. That was my brother's. A couple 69 El Caminos.
So you guys were like a Chevelle family.
It was the big block Chevelle El Camino family. Yeah, Chevys all the way. Growing up. That car, we got hooked up with a guy named Ron Taylor back when my dad was around in the 90s. I was still in high school. He was racing D stock, C stock with his 69 Chevelle. Dad became pretty good friends with him and thought, well, hey, how about we go drag racing?
Yeah.
So we basically turned that car into a D stock NHRA class car. And we traveled around, had a blast racing that thing. Scribner, when it was full bore.
Yeah.
We go to Topeka. I went to Bandimere a couple times. Colorado, raced it.
So you traveled a little bit for
Traveled for it, yep. Never got a Wally or an Oscar or whatever they're calling it these days.
Yeah.
I was this close to getting one, and fate just wasn't in the cards for me.
Yeah.
In Topeka, it came down to there was 3 of us in D stock. Me, Ron, who we modeled our car after. Great guy. And one other was a Nova, the 69 Nova, that was just badass fast. This thing was, 6/7 under the bracket, under 1180, which was our dial-in time.
Yeah.
And so one of us was going to get a buy run for D stock. So we had a flip off. So, we're all standing in the staging lanes, me, Ron, and I forget this other guy's name, but, we flipped the quarters. And of course, me and the Nova
Square up.
yeah. And Ron gets the buy.
Yeah.
So we go out there and this Nova I dialed in just under the index and he just walked right past me at the end. Ron goes out there to run him after his buy run, and the guy red lights and basically gives him the win.
Oh, really?
For that day.
He didn't bust out of his class by going too fast?
No,
or?
you could dial in. You can dial in your number. That's the slowest time you could put on your car was 1180.
Oh, okay.
So if you ran slower than that, there's no way you're really going to win.
Because it's brackets.
Because it's brackets.
Okay,
you could
gotcha.
run faster, but you can't run slower and still win.
Gotcha.
There's no way you can make up that amount of time off a light.
Yeah.
Leaving the starting line. So yeah, I came that close once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been exciting. But I mean, I'm definitely going to start trying to get back into car racing, or even going to the track more with the Chevelle, or autocross type stuff, or road racing with the Prelude and things like that, because it's just, I miss that. It's better than any drug I think you could ever do, that adrenaline dump you get, and just you're just, I don't even know how to explain it.
It's even just the feeling of being at the track with your car.
And at the light.
Yeah.
It's just
just pulling around, going through the water box, doing a little burnout, heating tires up. And
it's one of the best feelings that I've ever experienced in life, is just like that. I don't know what it is. It's just you're one with your machine, and it's just you're out there battling against whoever you get lined up next to,
Yep. And that Chevelle, at the start of the season, that thing would just scare the shit out of me the first pass every year, because it did do a pretty good wheelie.
Yeah.
Wheels up first gear and you're grabbing second before they're hitting the ground.
Really?
Yeah. And that, it just, you'd see nothing but sky, and all of a sudden you're grabbing gears for the next gear and just going. And then by the end of the season, it's like, oh, just another day.
Another day in the office. We need more power.
Yeah. And you're running the same speed, but it's just that initial shock.
Was that a 4-speed car? Or
It was an original 4-speed car, but for the stock class, we ran a Doug Nash 5-speed. They had to block off 5th gear. You couldn't have 5 gears.
Oh,
because it only came stock with 4.
Gotcha. So you had to stay in your stockish.
Yeah. You could stay in the stock form. You had to have the same number of gears. But we ran a Nash 5-speed straight cut, no synchros. It was a full-on race transmission. You could run the stock rear axle, so it was a 12-bolt, but we had big Mark Williams axles in it, C-clip eliminators, full spool. I think we ran a 513 gear on a 29-inch tall.
There you go.
You could only run a 9-inch wide slick. It had to fit underneath the wheel well. There was just a whole mess of rules for that, even down to the engine. Like if we were to win one of the national events or the division events, you pull around immediately right after your win, and you park your car in their mechanic area, and you get tore down. And
tear it down?
They tear your engine down.
Really?
And, yeah, they'll check everything.
Pull the heads off of it and
pull the head. They'll check cam. They'll check everything on that.
Just make sure you're within spec or tolerance or whatever.
Yeah, and if you don't, then basically you're banned for, I forget how many years it was. That was
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was in the 90s when I was doing that, man. I'm old now.
Well, it's like the Claimer motors probably in Sprint car where somebody can buy your motor or whatever the hell it is.
Yep.
So I want my Chevelle to do a wheelie. That's all I want. I just want to do one wheelie.
It can be done.
Yeah. I've seen it done quite a few times. I need to get the 12 bolt done because I just got the 10 bolt under there now, and I'm really scared with the drag radials to even.
Yeah, if it hooks up, something's probably going to break.
Yeah. And with sticky tires, I'm just going to keep working my way back up to every weak link on it. But I don't know. When I grab second gear on it, the front end comes up pretty damn high. I bang the shit out of second gear. I figure that's better than.
What are you running for shocks on the front? Just gas, or you got adjustables?
No, they're just straight up probably late 90s. They were brand, they probably only got 6,000 miles on it. Like, what is it? KBY or
KYBs?
KYBs, yeah. Painted them silver so they matched everything because I'm a racer.
Well, I tell you, on the front end of ours, we unhooked the sway bar because that'll limit your travel.
Yeah.
So if you ever want a little bit more travel and you've got front sway bar, just take your end links off.
Okay, there you go.
And we also, on the front, we got an actual race spring, coil spring, which is a lot thinner wire. And that front end just dropped underneath that. But it also gave you a lot more range of motion, more transfer with that. And, of course, a 90-10 shock.
I wanted to do a wheelie.
Yeah. It's something else when you can.
I mean, I don't even care if you could slide a 2x4 under it. I just want to lift a tire.
And it's funny that I was in the pits with Ron once, and he's like, "Hey, you ever look at your fuel gauge when you take off from the line?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Why am I looking at the gas gauge? I got
everything.
I got to make sure the thing's going straight. Yeah. Looking at RPMs, everything else." He goes, "Do you look at RPMs?" He goes, "I just mash the foot to the floor and dump the clutch when I see the second yellow." I'm like, "Okay." So that's basically what I started doing. But once in time trials, he's like, "Yeah, just go out there and look at your fuel gauge. Take off." He goes, "Look at that, and then, drive the car." So I'm like, all right. I pull around. We do a little light burnout. We didn't do real heavy, smoky burnouts like guys do.
No John Force burnouts.
You're basically just you're tearing up your slicks is all you're doing. You just need to generate a little heat.
Yep, just get them cleaned off and get them sticky.
Yep, do a couple dry humps with it, make sure gravel and they're sticky, and you just pull up and go. Well, I pull up and see the second yellow. I hammer it to the floor and dump the clutch, and I look down, and fuel gauge just goes right to empty. And I'm like, oh yeah, all the fuel's running to the back of the friggin' tank while you're going. So I'm surprised it doesn't sputter or die or anything, but.
You didn't have any sort of like a dry sump or a sump on the back of it or anything? It was just stock tank? Stock
tank in the back, yeah. And we actually ran a mechanical pump forever until I was at Scribner one time. And we were bracket racing, and I was actually making my way through the bracket pretty good. And then fuel pressure just gone.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a spare. So we ended up borrowing an electric pump from a buddy of ours there. And we quick threw that thing on, and Dad had some old junky regulator that was in the top of the toolbox for probably 25 years.
Sitting there forever.
Yeah. Who knows what fittings were in it, how dirty it was, whatever. We puts that thing on, and we try to adjust the fuel pressure the best we can. Well, the guy we borrowed the pump from, it was a high pressure pump. It wasn't no 7 gallon or 7 PSI. Yeah. And basically the first time I fired it up, it just flooded the engine, and it almost hydraulicked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we pulled the plugs, and the fuel's just running out of the spark plug holes. We get that all adjusted and fixed, and then that's the pump we ran the rest of the time. We never did put a new regulator on it. We put a different fuel pressure gauge on. That was it.
Yeah, just you got it dialed in though and turned down.
Yep, and it finally made it around. I think I made it to the semifinals. And
how long do you have in between rounds? It's probably you got a lot more time early on, and then as it gets closer to the finals, it gets faster.
Yeah, closer when you get to semifinals like that, you're almost back to back, especially at Scribner back in the day. Depending on how many classes there were, I mean, they'd start. You may at the beginning of the day have a few hours in between rounds.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the day, you're basically pulling right back around in the staging lanes again.
Yeah, that's testing the car.
Yeah,
making sure everything's doing what it's supposed to do, for sure.
Some guys were complaining, like when I was bracket racing, I was racing any car at the track. So I was dialing in, 1170, 1160 with that thing. I'm racing, 990 cars out there. And, I'm leaving. And they're sitting back there just waiting. And I'm looking in my rearview mirror. And then, just
all of a sudden, just a freight train's coming by.
Right at the light, boom. And I'm like, God damn it. There they go.
Yeah. But the idea of it, they're going to come around or be it's going to be a dead heat at the finish line, basically.
Yeah, if you both run what you put on your window.
Yeah. And I don't know how often that. There's probably got to be a little bit of sandbagging in there.
You can sandbag, you can do it. I mean, there's guys that'll break their cars, then they'll pull their freaking truck they pulled their car to the track with and start bracket racing that thing and putting like 1680 on the window. Yeah.
I guess.
Just to have fun.
Yeah, pay to play, I guess. You paid, might as well, or you showed up, might as well race. I think the last time I was at the drag strip was Rust Timberfest, and that's probably been, that was still in the 283, so it's been, probably 2014. And with the 411 gears in the rear end and the 6-speed in there, I was going through the 8th mile, second gear, like bouncing off the rev limiter at like 7,700 RPM or whatever. Tried going to third, it got slower. So I got in there and dialed up my the rev limiter up at, I think I turned it up to 82. In the 283, it can spin.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, just staying, just going through it, bouncing off the rev limiter like 8,200 RPM. But it was back to back. It was as fast as I could turn around, and it was a blast. It was so much fun.
I did that. I actually got the 54. I actually made it there without it overheating.
Yeah.
This last year, and I got that out on the track. First time I've really ever hammered on it, I guess, that hard through.
Ran it through the gears a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even get into third gear at 8th mile in that thing either. With the Turbo 400, and I got 373s.
Yeah.
And a little 235 70-15 tire on the back. At 60, 65 mile an hour, I'm running about 3,600 RPM.
Yeah.
Down the highway. That thing's winding up. So.
Yeah, and with that big block in there and those 235s, you're probably
I was just smoking the
tire fryer all the way down. Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing through first gear. I actually tried letting off more, from the light and then getting on it, but it let them up either way.
Either way, whenever you got on it. Yeah, and that's what with that MSD box I had the launch control or the RPM. I just went full retard right here. I can't even think. The rev limiter.
Rev limiter?
Yeah, for the launch control. Jesus, that was hard. Trying to dial that in on street tires with the 283. The 283 didn't make any torque at all. But, once you got to about $4,000, 3,500, it never found a spot where it quit pulling. It just kept going. It just wanted to keep going until I got scared that it was going to window the block or something. Yeah.
Those little motors, they like to wind. Mm-hmm. There was a guy that ran one in it was either the 283 in his little Chevy 2.
Yeah.
He ran a super stock class. He wound that thing to $12,000 every time on the track. Of course, it was built for it, but 12,000 RPM and a 283 V8 is still zinging it pretty dang good.
An early 50s, motor, basically. I'm sure it probably had an aftermarket crank and everything in it. Mine had the factory forged crank and rods in it, and then it had a set of, I believe they were TRW pistons or forged pistons, big dome on them. One of them, I guess they're up there. One of them's up there on the shelf. But yeah, that had a 600 lift roller cam in it and Dart Iron Eagle, like they were stock car heads, basically 49cc combustion chambers. I think they were 208 160s. And yeah, so it was like 13 and a half to 1 compression. Ran it on E85, and I mean it ran pretty good for.
Oh yeah,
and it sounded amazing. That high compression, you cannot beat that.
No, that's where you get your bass, and the exhaust note is right there.
That's super high compression.
That thump in your chest. It just, there's no replacement for compression when it comes to that.
There's really no replacement for just old school, like small block with a big cam in it, a big block, and just a high compression. And the LS stuff, it's easier to make power, I think, and I could just tap the key and it'll start. There's no.
You'll run 210 degrees down the.
Yeah, no issues.
Wherever you're at, no matter what.
Yeah, and it's like I don't have to do you got to jiggle the key 3 times, pump the gas 2.5, but not 2 3/4, because if you don't do 2.5 though, it won't start. That was the running joke back in the day. It was like everybody had their own starting sequence for their cars because
that was a theft deterrent right there.
Yeah, because you'd flood it or whatever. But the LS stuff just doesn't have that popcorn, that the randomness and the I don't know, just the hit.
Yeah. And for me, it's the look under the hood too. I'm old school. There's nothing that beats a giant big block sitting underneath the hood of a car.
Yeah.
The LS, I mean, it's a great engine. Chevy's done amazing things with it, and they're unlimited things. You can throw minor boost at those things in a camshaft out of a junkyard motor and pull over 500 horsepower easy.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a junkyard 6-liter in there right now, and it's probably over 600 horsepower. It's got the supercharger on it and a cam. Otherwise, it's basically
and it's reliable,
motor.
just like you said. And you know what? That's great, and that seems to be the way things are going. Being in the automotive business, it's phone call after phone call of, oh, I got this LS, and I want to
put a China choo-choo on it, and I want to make 1,200 horsepower, just like all the sloppy guys. But I still have the 283. It's sitting right up there, and it's going to need one sleeve, but I'll probably try to resurrect that for a project at some point. My dad's got a 57 Chevy that I would describe similar to Derek's, kind of, where it's like a Survivor. I think yours is way nicer, because yours is basically like a Survivor car too.
Yeah, it's all stock on the outside. It's original paint on that thing yet.
But the paint's checked a little bit, but it's in fairly decent shape. I think there's a rust hole I think it's in front of the driver's side rear wheel about this big, but otherwise it's a pretty solid car. And I would like to do that and put the 283 back in that and go through and just redo all the brakes, all the undercarriage, put a really nice interior in it, and just have it look like, a little rough on the outside,
Oh, yeah.
Survivor-ish type car, but you don't have to worry about, if you get
people leaning up against it, or,
and
you
going to the store with it and all that stuff. So
rock chips and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah.
And paint jobs these days, who wants to spend $30,000 on a paint job?
Yeah,
it's outrageous.
I haven't had to buy any paint. Since like all this stuff started really kicking off with the COVID and all the prices going up and the inflation. But Jen was telling me that their paint prices have gone up a ton. So I mean, it was already moderately expensive for me to buy cheap, shitty paint and do it myself. So I'd probably had a couple grand just in material to do it, plus the hours and hours and hours of doing the body work and all the prep and stuff.
Even if you're going to poop can it, it's going to cost you twice as much these days.
Yeah, no, it's no joke. It's a bad time to paint a car and build a garage.
I poop canned the entire roof of a 15-passenger 1990 Dodge van with Rust-Oleum in my driveway.
Did your finger was pretty sore at the end of the day?
It took a case of paint to do that thing, but you know what? That stuff, that van, it was a turd. It was our old Descartes Holland van.
Yeah.
And I think we paid $600 for the thing, and it lasted for, God, 8-10 years.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I literally hit it with the DA sander and just started shooting away.
How'd the finish look? I mean, I always see all those YouTube videos. They're like painted with spray paint for $52, and it like the thumbnail looks amazing. And let's be honest, the camera hides a lot of stuff and a lot of flaws. Everything looks a lot better on the camera than it does in real life. But
granted, it was gloss white, so white is very forgiving to begin with.
Yeah,
but it actually didn't look bad.
Yeah,
for what it was, it was a 20-footer. You could tell.
But you didn't have a bunch of like
deep shine to
dry spray and lines or anything. It was nice and it kind of flowed. And
yeah, and it was on the roof, so you really didn't have direct sight of it. But looking at it from the sidewalk or whatever, you probably wouldn't know until you got up close.
Well, 90% of the people never would know either.
No. And who's gonna criticize the paint job on a 1990 D350 van, 15 passenger?
Dude, there's people out there. There's somebody that's going to talk shit about it for sure.
That thing paid for itself several times. I think the wife got hit in it. Someone backed out of the driveway and clipped the back end where there's the seam for that extra overhang on the very back.
Okay.
They put a little dent in that seam, and the insurance company totaled it because of that, because it was right in that seam. And they're like, oh,
hard spot to fix there.
Yeah, it's gone. Like, no, it's not. I'm like, this thing's perfect. Give me a check.
Yeah. Brandy's minivan, I bought off the salvage auction and fixed it, painted the back hatch. It was rear-ended, and she drove that thing for 8 years, I think. And I think I had less than $3,000 in it, all said and done. It was like maybe 6 years old, so it was a newer Honda Odyssey or whatever. And she got backed into in the parking lot once, every time she would go to the store, she'd get ran into or backed into.
It seemed like a target on
basically. But it was like, oh, there's a dent in the door. Oh, there's a dent in the back bumper again or whatever. And it was like, ching, ching, ching. I think we got $1,200, $1,800. It was like, and this thing it's bought and paid for, and it's paid for itself just in other insurance claims.
Yeah, that thing, we actually... after I kept it, after the insurance company totaled it, and we just, it was salvage title. But the thing hardly ever left our house. It went to school in the morning and in the afternoon, and maybe to the park with the kids.
Yeah.
And 360, V8 in it. I think I had to put an injector in the throttle body. That went out. One of those went out. And that was the only thing I did to that thing.
That's bullshit. I had a 360 in it.
Yeah. And
the Winnebago's only got a 318 in it.
I should have saved it for you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if the Winnebago's going to come back or not. I went in there the other day to get something. She's getting pretty rough. There's a dead squirrel laying on the ground. So none of the windows got shut for whatever reason the last time when we parked it back there. And I don't know. It's pretty rough.
Rough shape.
Yeah. And I had this crazy idea that I'm going to cut the front end of it off, like maybe 2 foot back. So, cause it's kind of flat in the front, the hood sticks out, or hood, if you want to call it a hood, and then just make like a giant wall hanger out of it.
Oh,
make the headlights turn on and the like running lights, and it's probably a really stupid idea, but I can't.
You could even put a little switch on it and have the wipers work.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe put put TVs in where the windshields are. Or something.
There you go. Yeah.
Make it like an entertainment system or
That'd
a center.
Be perfect.
Yeah. My wife thinks I'm retarded. She did not find that amusing. She's like, and where the hell are you going to put that? And I go,
right in the living room.
Yeah, I don't know. Hang it in her bedroom. She's like, absolutely not.
Right above the bed on the ceiling.
So every night I can go to bed and just dream of my Winnebago.
You could program stars to go through it. The moon, all that stuff.
I had really stupid ideas this winter about dragging it out and doing like a full-fledged restoration toy hauler type thing with it, because I think it'd be super cool to pull up to like Torque Fest or Rust Timber or whatever, and have whatever car on the trailer on the back, and then have that thing all pimped out and have a nice place to hang out. And
then you start seeing dollar signs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, it's because then it would have to be on air ride and slammed, and it's got to look.
You got to do the whole shebang.
Yeah. So then at that point, it's just like it's too much. It's too far gone. I think all I really wanted to do is do a wheelie and then take it to scrapyard.
And there you go.
So one drunken night, I did the calculations. I got like this lever calculator out on my phone, and I was trying to figure out what the wheelbase and the length of it. And I was like, I think if we put, if it was like 4,500 pounds in the back of it, it would be close to its tipping point, and so you could hit
just
the gas and brake a few times and get it
basically bounce it up if you needed to.
And then you just drag the hitch. So that's probably what I will do at some point this summer. Is the water pump doesn't work on it anymore, so it'll overheat within 10 minutes, but whatever.
10 minutes is all it takes.
Yeah, exactly. So we drove it from 120th and Saltillo all the way here with no coolant in it. Damn thing would not quit. We was like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get it home? Like, let's just keep going until it completely lets go. Yeah, never let go. It still started. The next afternoon, I came out to clean it out or whatever. I was like, there's no way this thing's going to start. Bump, just tapped the key, popped right off like nothing had ever happened. It's like, all right, I got to give this little 318 credit. You can't kill it. That thing literally ran 10 miles or better
with no
coolant in it, and just the gauge was, it started out all the way up here, and then it kind of came down somewhere in the middle because there's no coolant going across the sensor. But now I got a little tear right here. I love that thing. Our
big old D350, we ended up getting rid of it. I actually sold it. I got $600 out of it when I sold it.
Hell
too.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing paid for itself, and
you used it for, what'd you say, 8 years or whatever?
Like 10 years at least, all through the kids going through school and everything. And then the wife kept getting messages from people saying, I just seen your van, because I sold it to this, I don't know, less than formidable kind of guy.
Well, somebody that's going to buy a $600. Oh wait, never mind. That's what you did.
Yeah, that's what I did. We had a reason for it though. He just showed up with his parents, and he had to be in his late 20s.
Yeah. Carpet layer?
I don't know. Don't think so.
No?
But he paid cash, and I gave him the title, and he drove off in it. And every now and then the wife would get these text messages with pictures. Here's your van. And it was the dude, he was living in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, he was van life before van life was a thing.
Exactly. And somehow I think it finally died, because the next picture I think she got was it like being towed off, or it was like stuck or abandoned somewhere. And I always caught hell because on the very back window, my youngest, Frankie, was in dance, and we had her dance sticker on the back window. Well, I didn't take that off before he sold it. So Frankie's dance was on this homeless guy's van.
Rule number 1: you always scrape the stickers before you sell it.
Yeah,
always.
I forgot all about that thing back there. I was like, oh, bye-bye.
As you're driving off, you're like, oh, Frank.
Yeah. Immortalized on that van for life, I guess.
Now it's probably sitting and you pull it.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about your 54. So did you get I know you were having a lot of overheating issues and stuff with that. Did you get that kind of dialed in and figured out?
Man, I am still fighting that. I've got it to where I just think it either has to be a head gasket issue, or I don't know what. I'm kind of at a loss. Right now, I'm thinking this weekend, I'm going to really start messing with timing. Of course, I've got the Phytech throttle body on it, so I'm going to start messing with air-fuel ratios. Try to back the timing off a little bit. Yeah,
and fatten it up a little bit, maybe.
And fatten it up and see if that helps, because, I was thinking about it today, actually. When I was on either the birthday cruise or the Kingsman cruise last year, whenever I was headed south, that car would run hot. But as soon as I turned east, the temp would start dropping.
The wind? Was a wind at your back or something?
That's what I was trying to think of. If I was on throttle headed south, if the wind was coming at me, I mean, I had the hood off.
Yeah.
So I was getting maximum airflow through the dang thing. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I turned east. I wasn't in a headwind, so I'm off throttle a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Maybe AFR or timing, or RPM or something was playing an issue with that.
Yeah, I suppose if you're just at that one area on the, well, I guess it's fuel injected. So, you're at that one spot on the map on the table, and it's just like a little too lean or a little too hot with the timing.
Yeah.
Could possibly be.
And
did you louver the hood? Or I know you were talking about that.
I haven't yet. It's the original hood with the original paint.
I think it would probably ruin it.
Yeah, I don't really want to louver that one.
Yeah.
I'll probably, I think Derek's got an extra.
He's got one of everything.
He's got, somewhere that guy has it.
Yeah, one of his sheds, or what did he say last night? I went over there. Jackson sandblasted one of his mopeds. We're going to paint tomorrow night. And he's like, yeah, I got it outside. I got that outside my outside storage building or whatever. And I just walk out and it's just sitting in his driveway. He's got so many, with Jen and her addiction to
Cadillacs. The Cadillac Ranch out there.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. But yeah, there's 4 cars packed in the corner back there, and there's front clips and back quarter panel areas, whatever, back cuts. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but he's got a little bit of everything.
And that's great because that stuff you just can't find anymore.
Well, they find it somehow and they buy it.
Yeah, it's they got to have the ins and outs because, man, it's getting harder and harder to find.
I think Derek's secretly sabotaging Jen's Cadillacs because he's having them break down at her dad's farm and then just leaving them there. Yeah, he had to go pick her up last night because the 56? I think the 56 wouldn't start when it was out there, so I guess it was running rough on the way out, so he had to go out and pick her up.
He probably wanted some garage space back.
That one was, I think, just sitting in the driveway, so it wasn't taking up any garage space. But yeah, he's got his 55 in there. When we left, they were putting the bearings in the rods, so I think they got the short block put together.
I think tonight they're working on the heads for it, and we'll see if he has it done by Saturday. I think we're doing a little Kingsman event Saturday for a birthday. So
I don't know. That'll be that'll be a tough.
It'd be a push to get it done.
And Derek's to the point now where I think he's just like, if it doesn't make it, we'll find the next one.
We'll drive something else.
Yeah, no point to. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we got a few things to choose from.
There's a few other vehicles to choose from.
We'll take the different vehicle. So
yeah, I don't have that luxury. If I had the garage space, I'm sure I would, or even the driveway space. But yeah, I don't. But that's probably good for me and my marriage and my wife that I don't have that space because
it can get out of hand.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Well, I mean, for God's sakes, like I had a couple mopeds, in here or whatever, and I'd like cruising them around, and Jackson got all fired up and wanted to bring that Express in, and so he started. Then of course, we had to bring both of them in. They were just sitting behind the garage, rotting away, and then next thing you know, a guy came over here to pick up a part or something I sold. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got a couple of these things. I was like, well, he's like, oh, they're kind of junky or whatever. But I said, do you got a seat pan? We need a seat and seat pan for one of these. And he's like, yeah, I got one. I'd probably let it go for $40. And I was like, $40 for the seat? That's pretty cheap compared to eBay. You know what I seen there? Like some of them were $150 or whatever. I was like, ugh. I can't really justify spending, $600 trying to get an Express up and running. But he's like, oh, no, yeah, $40 for the whole thing. I was like,
even better.
Okay, I'll go pick it up.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't get our schedules to work out, and he messaged me back like a month later, and he's like, hey, I'm going to just drop the Express off. You can just have it. And I was like, I'll give you $40 for you if you deliver it. That's fine. So he came and dropped it off last Saturday, I think. So that's what that yellow one is. I'm going to just try to get that one done and just make it, let's call it Brandy's. Yeah, Brandy's a moped or no-ped, sorry, because it's technically a scooter. But yeah, like all of a sudden now that Jackson's into it, my garage is it's growing mopeds now.
Yeah, I go into my garage and it's daycare strollers getting pushed in front of the car, or, around there. And,
Do you guys run a daycare out of your house?
Yeah, my wife runs in-home daycare.
Okay.
and has for a number of years now. And with me working from home in the basement with daycare upstairs, it's pretty interesting throughout the day.
Yeah. With all the COVID stuff, but like you can tell now that like any sort of, the bank or wherever you call, you can tell they're at home because, you get the mom and the kids there and she's like, no, sweetie, no, yeah. Mommy's working.
You hear the dogs barking in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and nowadays it could be at work, you got to take your dog to work, so you can, it's a comfort thing, it helps you feel better and cuts the stress down.
I'll say this though, I've been working from home for over 2 years now, and if I had to actually get up and get ready and drive somewhere to work, I'd probably be late now.
Yeah.
It's like, you wake up, you can fart around, for however long, or you could even wake up 5 minutes before you got to report to work and walk out the bedroom and into the office and clock in, sit down and start working.
Yeah. And you literally can like start your pot of coffee, turn on the computer, and then go get your cup or whatever,
and you're just
finish getting dressed or whatever. Just as long as you have, a shirt on if you got to do one of those Zoom calls.
Zoom calls, yeah. Just no video feed. That's all you got to remember. No video.
When I have to do Zoom every once in a while for whatever reasons, usually I think it's for the kids' stuff, but somehow Brielle figured out how to, for school, when they were out, she put her name across the blacked out screen, so it always says her name on it. And I'm like, I don't know how to change it. I'm not even going to try to change it. It is what it is.
My little Zoom camera I have for work, I throw a little towel over it all the time because, I don't know, I'm one of those weird paranoid guys like Big Brother watching you all the time. Like, some IT guy can turn that on at any time he wants to and see. Yeah. No, you can't.
Yeah, no, you can hear what I'm doing, but you can't see.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to use your imagination. So you think timing is gonna fix it, or
I think
AFRs?
It couldn't hurt. I still think it's got to be something else. I've thrown everything at that.
Do you think it's just an airflow thing with the grill? It should have plenty of airflow going through there.
Yeah, with the fan and shroud combo that I have on there, on a 31 wide double pass radiator, aluminum radiator, I can suck a shop rag to the front of that radiator. It's the high-speed cooling components, 2,500 CFM multi-curve blade fan and shroud on that thing. I think it's sucking plenty of air through there.
So you're getting a bunch of air. You're getting plenty of air through there. You're just somewhere.
Even with the hood off, sitting at a stoplight on a 90-degree day, it'll just start creeping up in temperature. So, I thought it might have been a flow issue. I've messed with thermostats, no thermostat, using, the restrictive discs. I changed water pumps. I started out with a kind of a cheaper aluminum pump. I went to a Wien twisted snout, and that actually helped when I did that. So, I thought, maybe, vanes on a junky water pump were just, not right.
Have you thought about maybe doing like an electric water pump? I know it's going to screw the look up and everything.
I did think about that, but man, I am so tight on clearance on the front. And I've looked at the nice electric ones, but they just stick out so far. I'd have to relocate my radiator again just to fit it in there.
Yeah, I suppose you're shoehorning a motor that's twice the size of what was in there originally.
Yeah. I've already relocated the radiator like twice. In that thing, and I've got it moved about as far forward as I can right now.
Is that like the 57s and the Tri-5s where you can flip the radiator on the front side of the core support, or is it kind of locked in on the back side?
You can flip it, but it takes a little bit more work than the Tri-5. It doesn't just magically,
bolt upright perfectly.
Yeah.
Because what was it? The 6-cylinder cars was in front and the V8 was in the back.
It was in the back,
I believe. Yeah, because the 6-cylinder was
super long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I actually cut the front core support and built my own radiator mount, and then I had to trim up the front bumper fill panel, so I could move everything forward.
Because I guess you probably don't have that Like the 57's got like 14 inches
the
worth
big-
of room
yeah, you
right
could
in front of it.
Stuff a toolbox in the front if you
exactly.
wanted to.
Yeah, so you probably don't have that much room on those.
No, I really didn't on the 54. And then, of course, you got the big curved hood that drops down over the majority of the radiator as well. But, you know, I'm almost thinking, you know, maybe I was an idiot and flipped a head gasket on wrong, or I put the wrong head gasket on. You know, it's a 1990 aftermarket Target 454. When I started working at Speedway, one of the other guys there had this long bed 1-ton truck. Mm-hmm. It was either a 3/4 or 1 ton, I don't remember. Super nice truck, rust free. Cab was like perfect. Had a big block, this 454 in it. Well, he wanted to do an LS swap.
Go figure.
Go figure. And, you know, this was, 6-7 years ago? And, of course, Zach at the time, he's like, "You looking for a big block?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to have a big block put in my car." Working where I'm you can't have a 6-cylinder, no straight six in that thing.
Yeah, no.
So I worked a deal with him. He's like, I'm like, "What do you want for it? Tell me." He's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Oh, come on, give me a number." I gave him $600 for the 454 and the Turbo 400.
Oh, there you go.
And I told him, I go, "At that price, I'll pull it." So
That's a pretty good buy for a big block.
Yeah.
And then plus it comes with the transmission, and I'm assuming it was all running. Or did he have an issue with it?
He had an issue. He couldn't, like the starter.
Couldn't keep it to run cool. Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't run cool. I don't think he actually ever drove the truck because he could never get the starter to engage. And I don't know why. I think flex plate might have been messed up
or something, or just.
And I never dug into that. I never had that issue. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whatever. It's $600. I'm taking it. So my brother just happened to be back in town. So we drove over. He just lived over here in Havelock. We pulled the truck back to my house. And I think the next day I had the engine transmission out, and we pulled the truck back over to his house.
Dropped it off.
And dropped
said,
it off.
"Thank you, sir.
Here you go." And I started, you know, I separated the two, the engine transmission, threw it on the engine stand, started scraping all the grease off.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, because it had probably been a work truck for
whatever,
16 years or whatever. So it'd been.
And I was curious, you know, exactly what engine I was getting. I knew it was a 454, but you know, I wanted to run the casting numbers, see what it. Ran the casting numbers on the block, and it came up to be a 1990 Target motor aftermarket. So someone had changed engines in that truck.
So
down the line,
at some point they'd popped it or whatever.
Yeah. So I started thinking, well, what kind of condition is this thing actually in? So, you know, pulled the heads, cylinders looked perfect, pistons, nothing on them.
Not even carboned up.
Not carboned up. No, I'm like, this truck has very few miles on it, if any. Probably because it ran hot. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe somebody put a bunch of that freaking water jacket filler in there because it was a drag truck.
Concrete block?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I flipped it over, pulled the oil pan, 4-bolt mains, forged steel crank. I'm like, score.
Zach? Are you coming on the show? Or are you just getting parts?
I can come on to the show.
Come on in,
we'll have
bud.
to dial your mic in. You won't be on camera though, because I don't have another camera available. Anyway, so you got that 454.
So I got it tore apart, and then I got kind of really excited. And we were just talking about how I came across the big block for my car.
Oh, from I forget his name now. What was that guy?
You would ask that.
Yeah, everything was going fine until you asked that question.
Well, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Pull that up to your face there. Go ahead and put that in your mouth.
Can you hear me? Check one.
Not yet. We're working on it. Start talking.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Well, dial your thing up a little bit.
We're getting you dialed in. All right.
I can hear you now.
Yep.
Anyway, you got an engine, or back to when you got your engine.
Yeah, so this thing looked pristine on the inside. So I'm like, do I want to leave it? No. So I took it down to CarQuest and ended up going 30 over. Putting a nice dome piston in it.
Hell yeah.
Bumping compression up a little bit. And then I started, while they were doing that, I think they went 10-10 on the rods and crank, just cleaned them up. They did the short block for me, and then I started hunting for, what heads I wanted to use, because it had the little peanut port, the oval port heads on it, the
It's
truck
designed
heads.
to kill horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the insurance heads.
Yeah.
The heads the insurance company mandated they put on there.
So I come across, I'm just on Craigslist one day, and I see big block Chevy rectangle port, aluminum heads, make offer, or it was something weird like that. So I just shot him a message. I'm like, what do you want for these? He's like, well, they're brand new. He goes, what do you give me? I'm like, no, what do you want? And he goes, no, tell me what you'll pay. And I think I said something like, I'll give you $700 for the pair. And he said, sold. And I was like, are you kidding me?
That's like the price of one head.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
You're like, I meant 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a
That's
minute.
usually what happens to me. I'm like, damn, I either go way too low or way too high. And I just like, shot myself in the foot.
I went over and I picked up the heads in like 5 minutes before he could change his mind.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to give him time to change his mind on that for sure.
And it turned out, the guy's he's a street car. He's a street rod guy, racer. He's like, hey, you got a camshaft for that yet? I'm like, no, I don't have one picked out. I'm just, getting this engine put together.
Why don't you come on in here and check it out?
Yeah, he's like, I got this brand new 540 hydraulic. It'd be, good for a street car. I'll just give it to you. Even better. I'll
Man,
take
those
it.
are the best deals.
Yeah. So ended up with the aluminum heads and a nice hydraulic flat tappet camshaft. I put a Edelbrock air gap intake on it. Of course, the Phytech fuel injection. The Turbo 400, I did nothing but clean the grease off of it and bolt it together and threw a torque converter in it. And that thing just bangs second gear. It'll chirp second gear all the time in that thing.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Like that's the way it should be. When you get all that stuff, that's the way it should come together. Normally, it's like you get the motor all done, you're just going to throw the trans in there, and then it's like, oh, it only has reverse. Fuck.
Yeah. This one's not a tranny gobbler, luckily.
Oh, lucky for you.
Whoa, jeez. Tough crowd.
Did that transmission come from the same truck that the engine came from? I couldn't remember.
It was in the truck, and I haven't touched it except for a filter and oil, new fluid, and, of course, a stall converter on it. The thing really performed. That big block really liked that first when I had that, what was it, a 3200 stall? A little 10-inch on it. But, man, that thing just would unlock all the time driving around in town. You drop down in RPMs and, it's unlock, lock, unlock. And then...
and that's definitely not going to help you running cool when it's just constantly slipping to 3,200 RPM or whatever. So...
I put one of those TCI breakaway converters in it, which has like a flash stall, and it's decent.
Yeah.
Especially with a big block, you have a lot of torque. So, I mean, the same converter behind a big block versus a small block, the stall speed is going to be way higher.
Yeah, I could get it to stall out to 1900 maybe.
And a heavier car like that as well.
Yeah, it just makes for kind of a pain in the butt while you're driving around town. I mean, if you were at the track with it all the time, it'd be just right. But
that was when I don't even remember what converter. I think I had 3200 stall when I had that TH350 and the 283 and the Chevelle, and I mean it just constantly and everything would get hot. Everything would be so hot it'd feel like the brakes were on, and it was just bad news. It was too much. And when I did the T56 swap, it was the best thing I ever did to the car because it made it drivable, didn't have to. Well, I did E85 also at the same time, so then I could afford to put gas in it. It wasn't $100, do 2 laps down O Street, and it's like, well, I can't afford it anymore, so I'll go home and park it. But you said you were worried about maybe putting a head gasket on backwards, and that got me.
Upside down.
Flipped around.
Yeah.
I pulled the LS1 apart, and I told myself I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but screw it. Pop the heads off. I'm looking at it, and I go, huh. Clearly clear as day stamped front, and that's on the back side, and this side it says front over here, and it's like the head gasket just needed to go flipped over, but it didn't have any issues with running hot or anything like that. But apparently
still ran okay.
Yeah, everything. But apparently at one point, well, when we put it together, it was whoever was on that side of the motor, because I think Sims helped me do that or whatever. I had my broken arm. Wait, it was this arm. So I was like begging people to help me get things together and do stuff. And
I seem to remember Gene being over here for that. At least when you filed the piston rings.
Was he?
I think he was. So let's just blame it on him.
Yeah.
Now wait, did you have the engine sitting pointing towards the front of the car or away? Maybe that was it. Front.
Yeah.
The car was over. The car was over there, and we were doing the motor over here, and so I don't know. It's like.
Well,
maybe,
apparently it doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe it's like, okay, it's the front. The front's in this hand, and then I walked around the other side and put the front, back over there. I don't know. It was one side was right, one side was wrong. So had to be some stupid mistake like that where it's like, okay, I got the front, and it went on the front this way, and then I grab it the exact same way, walk around, and put it on backwards.
Well, it's one of those things you start questioning yourself, because that was 5-6 years ago that I did that, and I'm always pretty certain that I check gaskets, I test fit gaskets and everything before I install stuff. You start to wonder, did I actually do it right, or did I miss something? It's one of those tricks in your brains.
Oh, you start doubting yourself.
Yeah,
for sure.
Then you end up tearing a freaking engine apart that you didn't really need to, just to make sure.
Yeah, what you need to do is start recording everything you do with GoPros, because I did the same damn thing when I don't remember what I was doing. It was something with that 6-liter. And I was like, did I really do that? I couldn't remember what I did. And I was like, I wouldn't have. Did I? And then I started I was in my head and I was like, fuck, I did do that. And then I was watching the video and I was like, whew, that was close. I did it right. I just, in my head, for whatever reason, I got in my head and started thinking I don't remember. It was something with the piston rings. I don't remember what it was, but just
as long as you spend reviewing GoPro footage, it seems to me like it'd be faster just to take the thing back.
It probably would be, actually. You're right.
Sitting there for 4 hours.
Well, it's not. Yeah, you're probably right. Shit. Okay, never mind. Take the motor apart.
Take the motor apart.
Quit editing videos and doing all that.
Well, the early big blocks. What is it? The parallel cooling versus.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can actually drill out the block to update it to I think it's update to parallel cooling.
Isn't it in 91 or something they changed the design? I can't remember when they went from Mark 5 to Mark 6 or something.
91 was to Mark 5. 90 was the Mark 4.
I don't know that.
I don't know anything about it. I've never owned a big block myself.
The Mark 2 was the mystery motor. That was the 427.
Yeah. The 427W engine, in the 63 Z11 Chevy.
Yeah, it was the mystery motor.
Smoky Eunuch.
And then they went just straight to Mark 4 after that.
This is what happened to Mark 3.
3s were kind of conglomerated into 4s, I think, as well.
Was that like that? Well, were all the big blocks, that was the generation, the Mark whatever, 3, 4, or was it just 454s?
No, there's 5.
But I mean, that was all the big blocks, so 396 and all that stuff.
Mark 4 big block would be 1965 and up.
Okay.
Pretty much 65 to 90, I think.
Yeah. 90 was a cutoff. And, when I ran the casting on mine, I'm like, well, it came up a 90 Target motor, aftermarket Target. Is it in that crossover year where I've got, do I have the different cooling passages on this block versus the heads I have?
Or did somebody update it while they were in there?
And I'm like, start second guessing myself again.
Well, all I know is it's a 4-bolt main, so if you decide to get rid of that block, I'll take it.
I think that one will stay probably right where it's at. If anything, if I end up pulling that thing out, I'm going to change pistons and probably put a blower on it.
Hell yeah. Do you think you have heating issues now?
Yeah. May as well go full bore.
Yeah. Put a bunch of hot air in that sumbitch.
May as well make it worth it.
I saw yesterday, I think it was on Instagram, David Freiberger posted a little video of a supercharged big block Chevy with 2 4 barrels on it. and it had Beavis and Butthead commentating in the background, and they were like,
yeah, this kicks ass. Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, yeah, they're right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, someday I will have a big puffer sticking out the hood of some vehicle.
It's far better than I thought it could ever be. I didn't realize how impressive Boost was.
Turns out there is a replacement for displacement.
Turns out there is.
Well,
Boost.
It's got to be on the displacement to make it match, though.
You can have a pretty small engine, and it can be pretty darn impressive.
I mean, every 14.5 pounds of boost, you effectively double the size of your motor. So
you have like 1,000 horsepower Chevelle over here, then?
No, I'm only on like 9 pound.
Oh,
10 pounds.
Well, let's bump that up.
The new motor will be bumped up, but I think once you get over 15, it's basically just blowing hot air and diminishing returns. So,
and you probably want a little more internals for that much boost versus a junkyard motor.
Yeah, there's a whole thing on the other side over there that's got a forged rotating assembly, just not put together. Waiting on parts from China.
Rich.
No, you're not.
I don't know where. None
of the parts in that thing are coming from China.
I don't know where the rings are coming
Mexico,
from. I'm
maybe.
just assuming that they're on a boat somewhere. Maybe they had to take the long way from Mexico and they're on a boat. And
what kind of bearings are you running in that? King bearings, probably.
Clevite, I think. I believe
Those might be coming from south of the border. Then I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what they are. I don't know. It's over there in a box. We can inspect it later if you're so inclined.
You have you have rod and main bearings that you're waiting on, or you've got some of them, not all of them?
I have all the bearings. I'm waiting on piston rings.
Oh, that's right. You just said that.
Yep, just the rings. The rings are hopefully the end of this month. They'll show up, hopefully. So that would be ideal if they show up, and then I can take my time putting it together, and it's got a motor in it now, so I figured put that in there, get the 12 bolt done.
Make sure you get head gaskets front to back and back to front.
I double checked it when I put the head gaskets on the 6 liter. Now I'm second guessing myself. Son of a bitch.
It's been such a long time since I put an engine together. I mean, I don't know, a year or whatever.
Yeah, how's the 383 coming together?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. I think the last engine I did before this was Spike's small block in his Impala. And last night we were putting the short block together for Derek's 55. You know, It's a 383, like a Vortec, 96, 97, something or other. Vortec small block with a 383 rotating assembly, or 3 3/4 inch crank in it now. And I was like, these pistons, he got some
They're
Icon forged pistons, so they've got single valve reliefs in them, And I was like, is this the right direction or is it the other direction? And then the connecting rods were goofing me up because they're Scat H-beam rods, so I'm not used to seeing the rod caps on those.
Because they're the exact same both way, aren't they?
No, they're a little bit different. You can't put it on wrong, but I wasn't sure which way it goes. I know which way a stock connecting rod goes.
Yeah.
They have those little corners on the cap, and they go out. But on this one, I really had to sit there and stare at it, and I'm thinking to myself, the angle of the valve, what it'll be at. I know it's a 23-degree angle on a small block, but I just psyched myself out a little bit. And when it's been a while...
It's probably for the intake valve, right?
Yeah, well, intake and exhaust. They have pockets for both.
Oh, okay.
Just they're both right there.
On the one side.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And anyway, I just was sitting there struggling to visualize how it really goes. And
You're getting old. You're starting to slip.
I think what it proved to me is that I can't wait that long from working on stuff. I need to continue to work on that stuff nonstop.
Well, I'm glad you figured that out.
I mean, I think it's in there right. We'll find out.
Is this first hit of the key?
Is this the ultimate payback for Derek dropping the washer down the intake?
Oh, I got him earlier. He had a windage tray on it, and we put that, because we
put that thing on 3 times.
Well, guess what? You're gonna laugh about this because you were there briefly last night when we were working on that. The windage tray won't fit because
on the oil pan.
Well, now it's got a longer stroke. So the connecting rods hit it, and when we were taking it off, I dropped one of the nuts down inside the engine. And of course, I'm like, hey, do you have a magnet? He brings me a magnet with like an inch of fur on it. And I'm like, God dang it, I don't want to stick this in this
Well,
brand
and
new
you try
engine.
to take all the slivers off, and then you just end up with them all in your finger anyway.
Yeah.
So
But we got it out, so I threw that in there on accident. And
Just
he didn't.
payback.
To clarify, he did not throw a washer.
I know,
down my intake
but you
manifold.
did say that the other day. So
I did because
You don't want to take responsibility for that.
I don't. That's the last thing I want is any responsibility. That's overrated.
You're doing a good job, bud.
Thank you. But anyway, yeah, we got the short block together. Pretty much, it's done now. We were going to take the cylinder heads apart, but then we decided.
Reusing the heads.
Yep.
Okay.
He's gonna have a valve job done real quick and clean them up, put new seals in them, just because they're off. Why not? You know, I think they're probably fine. The other thing is he's gonna paint it, and it's got all that old paint on the heads. So
Get 'em
a trip
baked
through
or-
the hot tank and the jet blast cabinet will ensure that they're nice and clean and ready to be painted. Got the oil pump on, got the timing chain on tonight. Everything's good there. So
it's straight up short block, ready to go, waiting for some heads.
yep, just needs that stuff finished up, and it'll be ready to go in the car.
So I guess to answer your question, it's a no on Saturday.
Yeah, that'd be a no on Saturday.
A hard no.
I don't think he's going to make it with the 55.
Maybe. You never know.
You know, I was thinking about that. You mentioned timing chain, and that got to me. I was thinking earlier, too, you know, we were talking about changing, timing settings and air fuel ratios and so on, trying to get it to run cooler.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, you know, I've got that gear drive on there, and I set it dead nut 0, 12 and 6. Mm-hmm. And maybe something's off there. I don't know.
Did you degree the cam?
No,
or
I
anything?
didn't degree it. I went 0 on the button.
You just lined it straight up.
Yeah, and just lined it straight up.
I mean, it sure runs good, so I don't really think your cam timing is.
Yeah.
super
I don't
far
think
off.
that's off that far, but would it
Because I
be?
don't think if it's off minute amount, I guess, yeah, you can go, but does that have the ability, the little bushing, so you can shim it multiple different?
Yeah, so
you
you
can go
can-
5 degrees or whatever each way.
Yeah, it's like 2 degree or 5 degree, 5, 10, 15,
think-
and 20, up to 20 degree. I
Oh,
think,
really?
on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot. When
That
would you
seems
ever
like a
want to
ton.
do that?
I don't. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't know, but I think because
There's
there's like
5 buttons though with the gear drive.
Yeah.
all those little bushing, different colors.
Dude, it's been so long since I fucked with the gear drive. Well, the last time we did it was 2006, when you guys had that shop down on whatever, 48th Street there.
4701 Pierce Drive. I remember the address like it was yesterday.
Oh boy. Me and Spike talked about that.
Oh, when you guys were working on the Malibu?
No. Yes,
Okay.
it was my Sawzall. But yeah, that was the last time I messed with the gear drive, I think. Otherwise, I just unbolted it when I pulled everything apart. Actually, I didn't even unbolt it because the
Probably still in there.
cam gear is still on the cam. I think it's up there on that shelf. So I just left the gear on the cam and threw it up there.
You know what's funny though is that I just put different exhaust on that car for a reason.
Less noise.
Yeah. Well, the aftermarket throttle bodies, they do not like to run open exhaust.
Really?
Because they're measuring constantly just off one bank, off the O2. You run open exhaust and
It fucks all.
that throws that thing into total whack. They actually run better with full exhaust on them.
What do you need to have? A minimum of 12 inches past the O2 or something like that?
They
is what
recommend
say.
6 to 8
Yeah.
at a bare minimum.
Yeah.
The further, the little better. And I'm using stock exhaust cast manifolds from like a 95 Chevy 2500 truck is what I've found that fits that thing so far. And
Yeah, there's not very much room under the hood of that car.
Yeah, no, that thing's got it's shoehorned in there in all directions.
And I actually made a fitting to fit the air pump on the driver's side that ran the air pump port off the exhaust. And that's what I'm using for my O2. and
Oh, so you're
it's about $1 bill away from the port.
Yeah, so you're coming basically right off of
Right
the
off
runner
of it,
there,
yeah.
runner, whatever.
Yeah, it might be better to have it further away, wouldn't it?
If you could put that down into the
So if I could plug it and run it down the pipe a little bit.
put it back underneath like where your feet are at in the car or whatever, under where you sit, just so you have a little bit of time for all that to mix in there and get a little bit more accurate reading.
So that's what I'm thinking right now. If I can get in and just start messing a little bit with AFR ratios just off of the handheld.
Air fuel ratios.
And just see if it starts, making an impact.
Yeah.
Even a few degrees if you're just cruising down the road would help. So.
Yeah, that's because you get hot running down the road wide open where you got enough airflow going through there that it shouldn't be running hot. So, maybe you're a little spicy on the timing or,
and it might be leaning out.
What exactly does spicy on the timing mean? Does that mean too much timing or not enough timing?
Yeah.
Or just the wrong timing?
I think that if it's retarded, it's probably going to be like an avocado, the opposite of spicy.
Yeah, all right.
But maybe he's running habanero timing on that thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little spicy.
All right. Now that I know that, thank you.
I like to compare all of my car stuff to Mexican flavors. All right.
I don't have anything. I have no response.
And on that,
I'm really interested in seeing how much smoke goes into that.
Yeah,
thing.
I know.
Crazy.
It's looking pretty tasty. I might have to have him make me another one.
It just rolls right in there.
Yeah, that's.
And then
we were having good conversation, and now we're both just awestruck. We're just,
You're doing a science experiment
Yeah.
over there.
And
but
you know what? What this will blow your mind as well. I gotta take these off a sec. This adds another factor into the old fashioned.
having the copper
The
cup.
copper cup.
oh man.
And if you have one smoked in a copper cup, it's a complete different flavor.
Do you have 2 copper cups?
I do.
All right, make me another one. Gosh,
All right.
dang it.
You know what? I might have to run out and get some more blood orange bitters.
I have.
I've got Angostura.
I'll have to see what I have.
We can go this route too.
All right. Yeah, just surprise me. I wouldn't know if it was any different than the last.
Traveling bartender.
Actually,
Yeah.
you will after drinking that one.
Yeah.
You'll taste the difference between the blood orange and a regular orange bitters.
I don't know. That's those could get you in trouble for sure. That's a
exactly.
very smooth drink. Yeah, bud.
And then when you lift that off, it's just like campfire, just s'mores and chocolate
It's just
and
a piece
sex.
of oak, right?
Yeah, just a piece of oak.
You ever had sex while camping?
Will I ever admit it?
It's fucking intense.
Hey,
Gets
What
me
if
every
you're in a
time.
Winnebago?
That's true. It's fucking in Winnebago.
oh, not that thing. Jesus. Anyway,
That's
so
how the squirrel died.
Yeah.
we were talking about the birthday cruise versus the Kingsman cruise, and one thing I wanted to point out, I guess, is that when we were talking as a club about getting an event together, we wanted to make it a little bit more just like go above and beyond what a normal car show might be like. So, the cruise was always a good part of Derek's birthday, and I don't even know how it happened, but all of a sudden we just started getting so many people showing up to the birthday cruise.
Well, the first year there was what, like 10 cars, 12 cars?
Yeah, something like that. You were there.
And I think everybody would started telling their friends, like, "Oh, dude, it was awesome." And you'd see
Yep.
pictures on Facebook because Derek's doing that gnarly ass peg leg burnout and
It's not
Raymond.
peg leg. You just couldn't see the other side. You can only see the driver's side spinning.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to say. I just came out wrong.
Yeah, it was
Words are-
peg leg.
words are
But
hard.
It's not anymore.
Words are hard and shit. But yeah, I don't know. It was a blast. And it's like, I'd go tell my dad, I was like, dude, next year you got to go. And I
Yep.
think everybody did that. And then there was, 30 cars, and then there was like 40 cars, and then there was, I think there was almost 80 cars at the mat. And this is just kind of like a Facebook thing where there's not hardly any effort.
Oh, there's no advertisement.
Yeah, no effort in advertisement. It's just a Facebook group, and I mean, what the hardest part is probably getting the shirts made and
you'd have to ask him. I don't know.
Calling the bars and letting them know that they're going to be pissed off in a couple hours. Because no matter what, the bars are always understaffed for when you have 100 people show up. They can't handle it, especially in small towns.
Even if they were ready, they can't. They could have everybody that they employ there that afternoon, whatever.
Was it the Kingsmen or the birthday cruise that went to Branched Oak?
That was the Kingsmen.
The Kingsmen, okay. Yeah, because they were supposed to have like 200 burritos ready to go, and they were sold out by the time half the people got in there.
No, it wasn't 200.
Well, whatever it was, I don't think they actually made any. They're like, yeah, bullshit, we're not going to do this.
They did. We prepaid for them even. Or no, we pre-ordered them. And we would have been responsible for any
if
that they didn't sell. That's what it was.
Well, I know we had to wait forever to get ours because they went back and they were actually making them and redoing all the shit. So, but yeah, they just can't handle it. They got two bartenders.
It's just too much work to do in too short a time.
Well, they're not going to have a staff of 30 people, to take care of an event for, an hour.
No, that's why, we're trying to do a little different. First of all, the birthday cruise is going to be getting smaller because now for all the other people that want to go to something like that and they want to invite their friend and this and that,
it's more open invitation on the Kingsmen.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's invited to come to this. I mean,
we're going to have plenty of room.
Yeah, and the good part is, I guess anybody's invited that believes in what we're doing. Like last year, we donated the proceeds of the art auction and everything else to that Fighting All Monsters charity, which was about $5,000, and that was pretty significant.
I got that scooter.
Yeah, and you got the sign up there too.
And I think I bought one other thing there, maybe not.
Did you buy one of my sculptures?
Yeah, actually, you're right. It's next to the TV.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
those are 3 things I bought. Glad somebody remembers what I bought.
Hey, save your money because I think Kevin might make some more of that stuff for this year.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah, I was just... because I knew everything was going to a good cause. I love going to auctions. Normally, I don't have enough money to actually buy anything cool.
You don't have to have a lot, though. We sell so much stuff at that auction. There's stuff that's $25. There's stuff that's, $40.
Well, I was bidding against myself on that sign because was it Dawn was doing or did they have an auctioneer? There, you guys had an auctioneer.
We had an auctioneer,
yeah. And so I, said $100 or whatever, and he's like, I got 105, and he's like, I was like, oh crap, somebody bid 105 or whatever, so I was like 110 or whatever, and he's like, we got 100.
That's a light one.
And he goes, we got 110 here, and I was like, wait. I just did anybody else bid? No, I bid against myself.
Bid yourself.
Yeah,
bidding yourself up. It all went for a good cause, though. So that was awesome.
It's all good. And then the same thing with Torque Fest. I always try to go there and I make sure we walk away with something out of the auction, or try to.
I mean, especially now that you have the garage all,
I was told that my garage now is boring and has no personality. Where the fuck are the license plates? I believe is what Colin told me on Tuesday.
Well, who cares what he says, first of all? I think it looks great.
Yeah, I like it. Try to do a comparison side by side.
Yeah, try that. Let me know what you think. That's with just the Angostura.
That is a completely different taste.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Same basic mix, though, but just a different bitters.
Yeah, different bitters. Same rye whiskey. Same syrup. Copper cup makes
does it really change the flavor that much?
Yeah, it does.
What is the drink that Copper Cups usually?
Mule.
Moscow Mule.
Yeah, Moscow Mule.
You can get them in all sorts of types and flavors now.
Yeah.
So Brandy likes. She likes those mules a lot.
We just got back, the wife and I, from the Dominican Republic, and they had a passion fruit mule that was on the all-inclusive list, and
hell yeah.
Yeah, we drank quite a few of those. They were actually pretty yummy.
Yeah, we went to that all-inclusive thing for our honeymoon, mojitos. That was... I don't know.
Mojitos.
Mojitos.
I didn't know if you
Mojitos.
said mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
Or mojitos.
It's probably the whiskey fucking my tongue up again. This happened last time I did this. But yeah, I drank about 1 trillion of those things because it was like, it's free. They had a pool bar and just walked up and was like, I need another. Turn around. I need another. It's a good time.
Well, they didn't have a huge selection of whiskey. You know, the Dominican Republic, that's rum. They're big into rum.
Yeah.
You know, at the resort, they had Jack and they had Jim. That was pretty much it for.
Those are the bartenders?
Yeah, Jack and Jim. And, you know, I'd take my tumbler up to the bar, and I wasn't into their, you know, frozen fruity drinks. I'm like, ice, Jack, throw a lime in.
Oh.
And the guy just look at me. He's like, okay. And you just sit there pouring. And, you know, I had a tumbler about this size. Yeah. And then, you know, 10 minutes later, I'm back up at the bar again. I'm like, Jack, ice, lime.
The bartender's like,
Yeah,
we can
he's
play
like-
this game for about an hour, but
He's
not
like,
too much
yeah.
longer than
I
that.
just don't know how the hell you took all the pictures if you were that drunk.
That was a different day.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I got to get all my pictures one day.
It was all done before the drink started flowing. But yeah, all inclusive that's the shit. That's the way to go.
It's nothing but pure trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually went on a diet like months beforehand just to prepare. So I dropped I went from about 240 to 192 when I left.
Wait, what?
240 pounds to 192 pounds when I left.
That's legit.
That's
yeah.
48 pounds if you're counting.
I wasn't, but
And then the weekend, I actually weighed myself for shits and giggles when I came back, and I was 15 pounds heavier when I got back.
yeah.
After that.
I told Brandy that Dustin was guaranteed going to gain weight here when he came here, and she's like, "No, he won't. We're going to work out. We're going to do stuff." He did like one little I don't even know if it was a yoga session or slight with a weird whatever Pilates or something. And he did like 2 things. He's like, oh, that's a lot of work. Ooh, that's too much. He's gained 8 pounds since he's been here. I said, dude, you're going to gain weight. All you do is eat. He eats a lot of food.
Oh, he's not work. Oh, because at home he goes to work every day and he's busy and moving and
Well, I mean,
working
yeah.
at the moon pie.
Working at the Moon Pie Factory.
So which one of those do you like better?
I like the first one better.
Like the first one?
Yeah, this one tastes a little dirtier. No offense.
A little, yeah.
Maybe you can just taste the
I think
taste the.
you're probably
whiskey a little
tasting more of the whiskey and
Yeah.
more of the smoke in the copper cup. The blood orange is my favorite. I'm a sweet tooth kind of guy, and that is, I guess, a little more possibly sweeter than just the straight orange bitters.
Yeah, I don't know. I was dumping a bunch of the peach bitters in because that sample kit we got up there, it has like chocolate and like I don't know, olive or something. It's just like a bunch of stuff that sounds terrible.
Gross.
Like dirty sock bitters. It's like, yeah, I don't want to drink that. I'll do the peach.
I actually have one at home. It's some botanical bitters, but it's jalapeno. A jalapeno bitter. And
I don't think that sounds very good.
Is that
you know
so,
what though? I actually tried it with some bourbon and just on
It
ice.
just sounds like it's going to give you heartburn to get you
Yeah,
right here.
you drink one. That's about it. But it's pretty tasty.
Is bitters just concentrated flavor, basically?
It's basically just a concentrate of whatever the orange.
So that's why you only need a couple of them. You don't need the whole bottle. Well, you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I didn't really have any plans on even doing this. I just showed up here.
Yeah, you just put some tools away and you just popped in the podcast.
That's because for everybody listening, Mike will let you borrow any tool out of his garage ever.
As long as it's out of Zach's toolbox.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I got that out of my own toolbox.
in the new garage.
You'll still give stuff out of my toolbox to people.
Anytime anybody was working on anything, I was like, you can use any tool out of this toolbox or that toolbox. Don't go to the Corvette toolbox unless it's absolutely emergency and you have no other choice but to find the right tool in that toolbox, because my shit's all whatever it is, and you tend to have decent tools. I mean,
Where's
you did
your
work.
welder at right now? Do you know where
Yeah,
that's
it
at?
should be in my garage.
I know where it is. It's not where I left it. It went somewhere else, though.
Where you left it over a year ago, or how long has that been?
Well, I left it at Jared's house, and
Is that Wayland's now?
Nope. Then his brother came and took it from there, and he asked me, so it's fine. But then Wayland gave it to Colin, and now it resides at Colin's house.
Oh.
So
I'm going to have to call Colin and see if I can borrow his welder.
That's not his welder, okay?
I wasn't talking to you. I'm going to talk to Colin.
What's wrong with that one? Use that one.
I've used that one for every single thing I've ever put together. I think the only main thing I used your welder for when you were storing it here, we did the axle flip on the camper and had to weld the new leaf spring perches or whatever the hell you call those on.
You know, all these guys, Derek, everybody with a lift, these nice big garages, everything. You know, it's great. I love the camaraderie. I love, hey, bring that thing over. Mm-hmm. Let's get it on the lift. Let's do this. I've never been one of those guys that really follows up on that kind of stuff. And I jack my car up in the driveway as high as I can, and I try to, fix shit myself.
Oh, I'm the same way. Derek's the only person that I've ever hit up, and it's just to use the lift for exhaust. I think we did my dad's 57 on there, and then the Chevelle 1.5 times, I guess, because we didn't finish it, and we got to go up over the axles a year later and out the back. But yeah, if I don't know, I should have bought a welder 2 years ago, but I just was like, no, $1,600. I got this going on, and then
There's always something that is going on that wants to or get in the way or whatever.
Well, and for what I need to, most of the stuff I need to booger weld, that flux core works fine, but I'm not gonna do my stainless steel exhaust on the Chevelle, with the flux core and just completely just booger the hell out of it.
I've got an ARC sitting in my garage that was my dad's forever, and you know what? I'm surprised you get any kind of current through it with the condition that the ground strap is in and the handle is in as well. But that's what I've welded with. I've got a little cheapo Harbor Freight wire feed, flux core, but I hardly ever use that thing. I arc weld everything. So I had my car up in the driveway, and I'm down pipes for my exhaust. I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'd cut it, take it in the garage, and I just arc weld the piss out of that thing.
Stuck,
yeah,
and just go fit it.
You know what? And it took forever, but I got it done.
That's that's the base, or that's what hot rodding is. To me, it's going out in the garage and just working with what you have. Going to your random scrap metal or bolt bin and finding something to make a bracket out of for your alternator or whatever it is, and booger welding your exhaust together, getting your table saw out and making some adapter plates for your supercharger. It's the simple things in life, really. So
how many bandsaw blades you burn through that were meant for wood?
God, I haven't really fell in love with the bandsaw as much as I was in love with it in junior high when we were cutting out whatever it was. But it's three. Three is the answer to that. Yeah,
three.
So far. Yeah. But the Portaband, I bought one of the little Makita cordless Portabands, portable bandsaw things, and dude, I love that thing. That was I think it'll cut up to 4 inches or so. And I used Derek's corded DeWalt one, and I was like, ooh, this is nice. And of course, went on eBay, and it's
You're like, ooh, I have batteries for those already. I'll just get one of those.
Got a Remand one. I mean, it was pricey. It was $300 and some bucks, but it was a write off for the business. I use it at work, so it's a write off.
Perfect.
Yeah, when you find out about a new tool like that, it's kind of a game changer sometimes, especially when you've been doing something a certain way for a long time, struggling through it, making it work, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this tool just like saved me so much time. This is weird.
You know, it's
that's
like
what I do when I open up your toolbox. I'm like, whoa.
you know the exhaust manifold stretcher. Have you?
Yeah.
You got one of those?
I do have one of those. It's
So
not
do
here.
I. And that thing I never knew about, and I'm like, holy
Just
crap!
the
is here.
exhaust.
Yeah, it is here. Let me
Pipe
go get it.
stretcher.
Yeah, it this is like the simplest freaking tool ever.
It's like a wedge and it just expands.
Oh,
doesn't it?
you know, exhaust manifold, small block Chevy. You take them off and they go, zoop, and then you try to bolt them back on,
Oh, okay.
and the bolts won't go in. You'll cross thread, you'll strip, you do whatever to the heads, and then you're just, you're drilling,
You're done.
tapping,
You're fucked, yeah.
helicoil, whatever you have to do. Well, you take this little thing.
All right, hold on, time out. I've seen that in Zach's toolbox for the last.
And you had no idea what it was.
How long has your toolbox been here? Probably well over 10 years. Probably.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe
if it
not
was
quite
10
that
years.
long, but I was like, I always wondered what the hell that was.
Yeah, you basically just put that in between the center port of the exhaust and the outer one, and it spreads it back apart. Line up your holes and put your bolts in.
See, the more you know, you learn something new every single day. That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I
Zach.
didn't think it was here, but then I just got to thinking.
And this thing is a simple design. It
It's
saved
most-
so many freaking exhaust manifold bolts.
I would have got in there with my freaking little die grinder, the carbide tip, and just hog the shit out of everything. That's
Yeah,
what
but
I
your
would've done.
manifold is this thick. You can't really get in there the whole way.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have.
Well, I know you.
I would have figured some way. I would have haggard that thing up to hell. I would have got it done.
Yeah, little stuff like
Well,
that.
I know you have one, I have one, so if anyone has any exhaust problems, they can't get their manifolds to bolt up.
I'm going to go ahead and put an Amazon affiliate link for one of those. So if you guys want to go ahead, if you want to purchase one of those, go ahead and use our Amazon affiliate link. It really helps us out, support the channel.
You'll know if you need it because you'll try to bolt your exhaust up and the back will bolt up fine, but the front won't, or vice versa.
Yeah, well, whichever bolt you put in there first will go in fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
And
think
then
that's the way it normally
The rest of them.
The rest of them, you're pretty much screwed on.
Does it get progressively worse as you go towards the back?
Yeah.
Or towards the front.
Or
if you
the
start
front.
with that.
Okay, yeah.
Either
sorry.
way.
What if you start in the middle?
That's where you generally like to start, and then you'll need that tool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd like to think that Zach retarded me on getting tools because
Is that a compliment or not?
I'm not sure. Like, it's a compliment in the fact that you have all the nice tools, or like all the tools that I could ever need. So I didn't really have to. Normally, if you're doing something, you're like, I got to go buy something, or I got to go get a tool, and I'm like,
Oh, hey, Zach
there it
has it.
is. Just open up the drawer, pick it up, use it. Hopefully, I don't lose it in a frame or anything like John did, and put it back.
I got lucky. My dad was a mechanic his whole life, and I basically just inherited the garage. So it's all still everything he's ever purchased, I still have, right down to his whole cast iron Craftsman drill, corded drill that's
Yeah.
like 10 pounds,
But
but that sucker still runs.
yeah, they don't make them like they
Yeah.
used to make stuff to last. Now they make stuff to last a short period of time, so you have to buy new stuff.
That
Yeah.
drill will be in use long after all of us are gone, probably.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
your grandkids or something will end up with that, or somebody will, and,
And my dad was one that he had the pliers holster on his belt all the time.
I've been threatening to get one of those.
He always had the leather one, and
Yeah.
he'd have it made, and he'd have his initials WWW put on it. And when that one crapped out, he'd have another one made. So I've actually got one of his old ones hanging on the wall in my garage, which is kind of cool for me anyway. But he would bitch to no end. He carried a pair of pliers, a crescent wrench, and a flathead screwdriver, all in this little plier pouch. And wherever he was at, if he had to get something out of that, he's like, goddamn, $40,000 of tools in the garage, and I'm using a fucking crescent wrench. He would just say that every time. And it just ticked him off to no end, but
Yeah.
it was on his hip.
Yeah, I mean, this
it's
is
in my hand.
I cut stuff with this. I scrape stuff with this. It's a flathead screwdriver when needed. It's and now Zach got me on the flashlight kick, so now
You know why I carry a flashlight?
I got the flashlight. I got this little guy here.
You carry a cell phone in case you need to make a phone call. but you carry a flashlight because it's definitely going to get dark out.
It's true.
I learned that one from GT.
And maybe my eyes are getting bad as the older I get, so like a little more light always helps me see what the hell's going on.
You want some light?
yeah.
No,
You just flash the cameras
all
off.
right, yeah, okay. All right, prick.
We need to
Who
bring
invited you to this?
How many lumen is that?
I don't know.
Enough
You
to
wanna
hurt
see
your
it?
eyes?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm gonna go get my freaking bright one. Now all I see is just freaking dots
We needed to
everywhere.
bring some entertainment or some comedy to
Well,
this.
next time, let's flash you.
No.
You just have like a giant circle right on your nose. I can move it around. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was fucked up, dude.
Sorry.
But I was threatening this winter. I was like, man, a pair of pliers would be nice. I'm really close to getting one of those plier holders.
Plier pouch.
And Hartshorn, we were talking about it one night, and next day he ordered one and he had it. He had a spot for his light, his pocket knife, his pliers. I was like, damn, dude, you really did it. How do you like it? He's like, it's pretty nice. I think
It's all right there.
It's an age thing. You know, you'd like to have the necessities close to hand. And
Yeah, it's like my parents. They each have little tables by where they sit in the living room. And now there's so much shit on each one of those tables. They have a TV tray next to the tables. And
yeah, it's a growing process.
it's like they don't care what it looks like anymore. They don't want anything to be nice and tidy and presentable.
They just want it to function.
Yeah, they each have a freaking laptop and an iPad and then a phone charger and a lamp.
Do you think that they like get on like AOL Messenger and like talk back and forth to each other?
AOL.
They don't.
They hear the preacher.
I don't think they know. Well, they know how to do that, I guess, but barely.
Oh man, some AOL Instant Messenger.
You know,
Miss
it's
those
funny
days.
about the plier pouch. I
Still
remember
have-
this.
Still
This
have dots. Thanks, bud.
I might be making this up, but this is a memory I have from childhood. Is my dad and his plier pouch. Sunday morning was ritual breakfast at the kitchen table.
Whole family.
Whole family, huge spread, pancakes, eggs, hash browns, bacon, sausage, everything. Every Sunday morning. I remember eating bacon as a little child, and then stuck in my throat, big fatty piece of bacon, choking on this freaking bacon. Out comes Dad. Pliers off of the freaking side, in the mouth, out comes the bacon. Save the day.
Not all superheroes wear capes.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It came in handy. It was right there.
So before
Yeah, if
breakfast,
he
he
would've had
put
to-
all of his equipment on.
Oh yeah, he had it. He was all dressed ready for the day to go out to
It's
the
like,
garage.
I know one of these kids is gonna choke.
I gotta have the pliers.
So from the moment he got out of bed to the moment he went to bed, he had his plier
He
pouch
had his
on.
plier pouch on every
Yep.
day.
And if anything happened in the middle of the night, he'd have his plier pouch on, run out in his whitey tighties.
That probably happened, it sounds like.
It's funny. We'd camp too. We had this Prowler pull behind camper, suburban camper and boat, 3 setup.
You had the train.
Yep. And we were camping. I remember I was really little at this time. We're camping at, I think it was Conestoga, way back in probably early 80s. Mm-hmm. And middle of the night, there's this ruckus going on outside. People yelling, screaming.
Teenagers
I'm-
camping or something.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Dad gets up. Well, he slept in tidy whities, and that's it. And this guy's like 6'4", about 360. And he gets up, and I'm in the bunk bed, and my brother, sister, we're all in the camper. He looks out the window, I remember, and then he grabs a fire extinguisher, and out the door he goes, tidy whities, and that's it.
He's ready to party.
Yeah. And apparently someone was camping in like a regular van, and it caught on fire inside somehow. And the whole thing was about to go up in smoke
Oh,
right across from where we were camping. And here's Dad, tidy whities, fire extinguisher, puts the fire out,
Yeah.
comes back in, goes to bed, and falls right back to sleep. I'm like,
Oh God, what a true hero.
Yeah, we're all
True
like-
man.
wow.
I thought you were going to say there were some people out there raising hell.
He was like
went out there to
smacking him.
Smacking him with the fire extinguisher, putting him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was an actual emergency, and he leapt into action, like, didn't bother to get dressed.
Oh, there's no time for that.
I almost imagine that he probably did regret not having his plier pouch on him at that time for some reason.
There was a door that was slightly ajar and couldn't get it all the way open, and it was too hot to touch, and he could have went.
Could have used it somehow.
Yeah.
So I guess that means you might need to have a fire extinguisher in your camper.
The older I get, the more paranoid I get. I think I want to start putting fire extinguishers in my cars. I don't have any.
I actually thought about that too the other day. I don't know why, but I just thought,
Zach does, of course. He's prepared. He's probably got 4 in each car.
I don't. I have one in the plow truck,
Oh,
but that's it. Just because technically that was supposed to have a DOT inspection, to be a commercial vehicle, and you have to have one in every commercial. Well, I guess your truck technically is probably supposed to have one in there.
No, it's not.
Okay. Anyway, it wouldn't hurt, but the problem is you start forgetting about all this like safety stuff, it's like, and
you just want to jump in the car and you want to go, and it's like, I finally got it running, let's go. Woo.
Yeah.
But like when you finally get it running is a time where you have an O-ring or on an injector or something that doesn't seal, and
Or even you think, oh, I got a spare tire, but did you put a jack in the trunk?
and is the tire full of air or is it
full air?
flat?
Yeah.
And
funny story about that, not to cut you off. When I bought my truck and we were working, I probably had it for a couple years, actually probably about a year, because it still was on the tires, and we were way out past Valparaiso. It was middle of winter, working out in the country on like an abandoned farm, pimping out a barn for this guy, and guessing where the road was to get back there, because there was about 8 inches of snow on the ground, and apparently I got off the road, kind of bumped up a little bit, hit a piece of farm implement equipment or whatever. No, that was also at that same place, but that was different.
I thought that's where we were going here.
Slice the shit out of the sidewall on my front tire, and we get going down the gravel road, and we make it about a mile, and I'm like, yeah, this thing is freaking all over the place. And there's a lot of snow on the ground, so it was like kind of a little darty anyway.
Kind of sloppy.
Yeah, and I was like, pull over, look. I was like, that's not good. I was like, all right, cool, let's get the spare out. The previous owner had took the jack out of the truck, so I had a spare, had air in it, got it down, but no way to jack it up. So we limped it down the road to every single farmhouse. Every mile there was like one on each side of the street, and we'd walk up there and knock on the door, and finally we got a guy to answer, and he's like, oh yeah, bring her down to the shop, we'll get her swapped over. And he bust out the jack, the impact, and hooked us up, and on our way we went. So yes, make sure you have a jack.
I was just thinking a fire extinguisher would fit really nicely over there next to your door too, because there's plenty of stuff that you've been doing out here before that a fire extinguisher would come in handy for.
Yeah, I lit the insulation on the firewall and the Prelude on fire, welding that patch in there, and I was like, ran over and grabbed my fire extinguisher and went. There was no
nothing in it.
That would be.
It was completely full, but there was no pressure. Yeah,
that'd be a good auction item, is for us to buy a couple of fire extinguishers and pinstripe them or something, make them cool, just to hang on the wall next to the door in the garage or whatever.
That's a good idea. I like that idea. So let's get
fire
on that.
extinguishers. They're not that expensive, so yeah.
No, and they're priceless when you need them.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we count on?
What if we buy some new ones?
That's what I mean.
Well, yeah. We're not going to buy used ones.
No, we can auction them
that
at the event.
For the auction.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes so much more sense.
And heck, we ought to do some for your show too.
Okay, that's...
Exactly.
Geez, we're getting a lot of stuff to do. I just got like 5 trikes out there I got to pimp out.
You got...
I got 2 left.
Oh.
Otherwise, we gave the rest of them away. Whoever won the race won a trike. So I thought it was cool.
It is cool to do that.
We pimped out some trikes and spent like a month and a half pimping trikes out and just gave them away to kids.
Kids had fun though.
Yeah.
Let's give all the kids fire extinguishers, and then whoever gets to win the fire extinguisher fight gets to keep it.
Yeah, I like
the fire extinguisher fight. Yes.
All right, that's a joke. We're not really doing that. Some kid's going to get fire extinguishers.
Oh, here we go into fire extinguisher. Oh my God.
They're going to.
This is going to dive into prison territory here.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
We might have to do a 2-parter.
Okay. I was working at LCC, and I'm the sergeant in the control unit. And I get to work. Control unit was 16 cells of the dumbest dipshits in prison. Locked down 23 and a half hours a day. There's a bubble, a bullpen, and then all the cells. In the bubble is where the officer, or corporal, whatever is. Somehow, these guys working on third shift managed to knock one of the huge fire extinguishers off the wall, and it commences to
Took off
extinguishing everything inside the frickin' bubble. You could not see
You mean
inside.
one of the officers did it?
Yes.
It took off like a missile.
Oh, it was just blowing shit. I don't know where that thing was flying, but I was not working that night. I came in for my day shift the next day, and the whole place is just covered in fucking white dust. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Well, I backed a chair into the fire extinguisher. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Start cleaning. Oh my God, what a mess.
No, that stuff sticks with you. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so no fire extinguisher fights for kids.
I don't hate the idea. I mean, if we do it in like a safe, controlled environment, like we have a ring.
A ring of fire?
Oh, yes.
Oh, ring of fire.
Hell yeah.
Oh, here
Yes,
we go.
absolutely. We got to have a ring of fire.
Who can put the ring of fire out the fastest?
No, I think first person to leave the ring of fire loses.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go. Ring of fire.
Yeah, I like this idea. I think we got some ideas here we can use. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I'm regretting even bringing that up now because I feel like I'm going to be part of the lawsuit now.
Small child is burnt to...
We just don't want to brand that under any business.
Yeah, no.
No, but I'm serious. We should get a few fire extinguishers and pinstripe them and, auction them off for people to hang up in their garages because they look cool if they're all painted up, and then they're super handy if you do have an emergency like that.
Is there are we going to get in the legality of painting a fire extinguisher?
Is it legally not?
Does it have to have some type of sanctioning or something, labeled on it?
We'll just do it real mild. Just around the stickers, just put a couple little designs.
I mean,
or
yeah, there's
something.
got to be a space. You could do the top half.
Maybe we'll make a
or-
hanger for it and paint the hanger. I don't know.
I think I've seen plenty of fire extinguishers, like guys that painted them, like
whatever to match
freaking
your cars
purple,
or whatever.
and mount it to a roll bar or whatever. But
I don't know. Leave me out of the legal part of it.
I don't know. There was one on like the Book of Faces or something the other day, bye fire extinguisher, where the guy's trying to pull the pin and he drops it and knocks the end off it, and that sucker just shot like 200 yards in the air and took off.
Mr. Jordan, that was always his thing in welding class. Make sure you had the cap on the oxygen or the acetylene.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we always had to watch that safety video where it went through 13 cinder block walls and ended up into somebody's freaking LTD out in the parking lot or
It can't
whatever.
do that. That's a real thing.
Yeah, I know it's definitely not, but it was always funny that obviously they have to stress it for safety issues. But
What did Jordan tell you about your skills at welding?
looks like a bird just flew over and took a shit on your piece of metal.
But it was stuck together, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fucking bird shit together for sure. Love that old man.
Wonder whatever happened to that guy if he's still around.
He was pretty old and cranky when we were in high
Yeah,
school.
that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. He was pretty old and cranky then. I'd say he probably had to have been pushing 70 years old then, maybe.
Geez, 20 years for you. No, I don't even want to get into how long that was for me.
It's been, I guess, 21.
74 years ago for Kevin graduating high school.
And you know what? I just started growing this out, man. So I'm nowhere near the Zach or Mike phase here yet, but
Yeah, just you do you.
yeah. It's
Yep.
the first time I've ever let it grow this far.
Got out of hand.
So
Right.
you know what? 16 years in prison will do that to you. You don't grow a beard in prison.
Yeah, I heard you met your wife in prison.
Yep, I sure did.
You don't want that in prison. That's just something for the inmates to grab a hold of. And
Oh, that's a handle.
you.
Yeah, that's a handle.
you don't need to give them
You don't
anything.
need that.
Yep.
No, man, you don't. I mean, I've never had that happen, but I don't want it to
No,
happen.
I'm assuming that's really bad if that happens.
You don't
yeah.
want a prison beard. No.
No, yeah. I don't think you want a prison boyfriend either.
No. And you know what? I worked third shift plenty of nights there. And they
A
always,
lot of people crying themselves asleep.
yeah, well, if you want to call it crying, there's one of them usually crying.
Yeah, well, I
Uh-oh.
assumed.
Gross.
But you know what they always say? You know, the diehards are like, oh, yeah, I'm nice and quiet and sneaky. I'm like, bullshit. I'm banging my flashlight on the railing. I'm jiggling my keys. I'm like, I don't want to walk up on that shit. As long as they're alive and breathing and in the cell, they're good. Yeah. Hey, I'm coming around for count. You know what?
Put your pants on.
Put that back away. Finish in 2 minutes when I'm gone.
Gross. All right, and on that note, you guys got anything you want to plug? Got any socials? Got the car show?
We're going to be doing the Kingsman Cruise. I guess
Or your cruise?
We're going to be in Des Moines at the Good Guys Show for Speedway. Kevin will be there. I'm sure he mentioned that, or maybe he didn't mention that yet.
Not yet at the Des Moines, but yep.
We'll be over there 4th of July weekend. I don't know. For now, I don't really know if there's anything else. You know, one thing I was going to say about your show, I guess, is describe to everybody exactly where that is, because you said, you know, whatever in Garland Street. Not everybody knows where Garland Street is.
It's in Lincoln, Nebraska. I opened with that. If you're in Lincoln, Nebraska area, on October 8th of 2022, the FTP Speed Shop car show will be happening at the Child Advocacy Center. And that is at, I believe it's 5025 Garland Street, if I remember right. I can go back in my notes and look, but
And that's 48th and Layton.
yeah, basically it's yeah. Go to the Dairy Queen, head back east, and go a couple blocks, and you'll find it.
Look
And if
for the
you're-
cars.
Look
If
for the
you're going to Dairy Queen, grab me a Blizzard on the way. I like those.
Chocolate Extreme. You better be specific with Blizzard.
Yeah, get him a flamethrower too.
No. I don't need that. I will be a flamethrower after I eat one of those things. No, I don't have anything else to plug though. Like you said,
Okay, well, sometimes people want to, plug their website, plug their socials, do whatever. But the car show or the car cruise, I think that's always a good time. I think if people are in the area, they need to go to it because it's always fun.
You can always follow Kingsman Lincoln on Facebook as well.
There we go. Yeah, follow those guys. You can get all the up-to-date details on the show. And, go hit up FTPSpeedShop.com. Help support the channel. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.